card, and then watch and wager on the Belmont Saturday. Tonight, Rodney, 7 races coming up. We start over on the carryovers in the High Five and the Pick 5. Let's get right on to it.
Let's do it.
We got a couple of video races to show you today and some horses for you to consider here. Let's get on to the opener. What I think might be kind of a paceless race. It's a $7,500 maiden claimer, 1 mile on the main track, and these are 3-year-olds and up. Scratch the 4, Mr. Wooly Bully.
Yeah, so here in the opener, I went with number 2, Discovery Peak, as my top choice here. Now, if you look at the first 5 races in this horse's career, nothing really stands out. But the horse did have a lot of competition in those races. Was in for some big tags at Oaklawn Park earlier this year. Had the debut at Ellis Park. Like I said, nothing really stands out. But then if you look last time out, horse came here to Lone Star for the first start over our surface, was in for the $7,500 tag, just like this race tonight. And Discovery Peak ran very well in that one. Finished third, ended up getting beaten by 3/4 of a length. The horse that ran second in that race went on to win his next race. If you look at Discovery Peak, finished ahead of number 1 here, Perfect Tom, who is your morning line favorite in this spot. I'm going to go ahead and go with Discovery Peak once again over Perfect Tom. And then I got the horse on the outside, Baja Boogie, who also came out of that race as my third selection here in the opener.
Yeah, it's sort of a May 20th redo for those guys, those latter 2. Discovery Peak didn't run against Perfect Tom and Baja Boogie on May 20th, but the 1 and the 2 horses did face each other back on May 7th. That was the most recent race for Discovery Peak. He was the 2-1 favorite. Perfect Tom was the 4-1 second choice, and Discovery Peak ran a little bit better race, finished 1 station in front of him. Perfect Tom has since come back, showed a little bit of speed, maybe hung a little bit at the end to run second last time, was beaten 2 lengths. We all have picked Discovery Peak. Rick in the program picked him. You and I have picked him. He certainly woke up with the drop to $7,500, which is our bottom level for the time being here, and the switch over from Oaklawn to the bottom level here. But like you say, beat a last out winner. So I gave Discovery Peak the nod too. This could be kind of a rider's race because there isn't much speed in here. So whichever horse feels good and shows some initiative early, if perhaps Seeking Chrome, who showed a little bit of speed last time going 7 furlongs, might find himself on the lead here. On to the second. Here's another race that's sort of a rerun of a May 18th race. These are fillies, maiden special weights, 1 mile on the turf.
Yeah, so I'm on Oil and Candy here in this spot. 4 races for Oil and Candy. This filly has been on the turf in all 4 of those races, in 3 of those 4 races. Those 3 races, all of them pretty good. Seconds and thirds is all you see in Oil and Candy's stats. Going on the turf once again here around 2 turns at the 1 mile distance today. I think that this could be a double for Steve Asmussen, Stuart Elliott here. I got their horse picked in the first race. I think Oil and Candy can do it here. If this horse doesn't get it done, I don't know. I mean, this horse runs a lot of seconds, a lot of thirds. Yeah. 2 of those seconds coming right here on our track on the turf course. I think there's a lot to like about Oil and Candy. Second choice is going to be Cinnamon Face. This is one that's kind of interesting here in this spot. Last 2 races for this horse, second place finishes in both of them. Last time out was the first time that this horse tried the grass, sprinted at that 5 furlong distance here on our turf course. Ran a good second in that one, made up a lot of ground toward the end of the race, just missed by a head. Gets David Cabrera aboard tonight. You got to like that. We'll see what happens with Cinnamon Face. If you're looking for one that's not the morning line favorite, maybe this one right here at 6-1 with that morning line might be worth a play. But I've got Oil and Candy as my top choice here.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know if Oil and Candy necessarily towers over this bunch, but she was a definitive choice for me, if that makes any sense. Kind of a logical, safe pick. Saved every inch of ground last time, going a little bit farther at 1 mile and 1/16. Got a rail skimming ride from Stuart Elliott. Just missed by a head to Dear Bow while being a length clear of My Little Whiskey Girl, who is actually the second choice on the morning line here in this spot, and it's been kind of a trial mare. If you can beat her, you break your maiden, as she's been running second and third a lot. Oil and Candy has improved, or has run well in her 3 turf races. The one race that was rained off the turf and was on the mud at Houston, she didn't fare as well as she did in her turf races. So she likes the turf. I really think that she has the best shot in here, certainly. I think she's going to be a little bit of a short price. but I think she has the best shot here to break her maiden. And then I agree on Cinnamon Face. We just don't know really what she is yet, having been very lightly raced. Is she a late-running sprinter, or is she a filly that can stretch out? I think she's a shining star, Asmussen's other runner in here. First-time Lasix, off the bench since a Kentucky Downs effort in September where she was badly beaten, but that's really tough racing. She's a shining star is an interesting option, too. She was a rich filly as a 2-year-old purchase last year for $240K.
Pretty good betting race at number 2.
Yeah.
If you want to toss out the favorite, a lot of different ways that you can go.
Yeah.
A lot of different ways to cash a big ticket, it looks like, if you can beat Oil and Candy here in a second.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's going to be hard to beat, but for sure, our winning percentage of favorites has been under 30% here. So let's watch some video here in race number 3. 5 Ace on Turf, maiden special weight 2-year-olds. Only 2 of them have ever been to the post. We're going to go start to finish in this 4.5 furlong race and watch the 1, Secret Tavern. The blue Danny Keene Silks. Look at that start for the 1. I mean, admittedly, our perspective might be a little skewed, but, I mean, she clearly outbroke the field by a decent margin. Now, the thing I like about her, Rodney, is, okay, the 6 and the 8 come up outside of her. She's still, running well on the lead here, but she's challenged. She's been through the paddock and the saddling procedure, and her main opponents in this race have not. Now as they come for home, the 6 is going to drop out, but that number 8 filly is still pressuring the one we're watching, Secret Tavern, the big white blaze on the face. Now it looks like Secret Tavern might be shaking clear, but the winner's right behind her on the inside in the black cap and the pink. And that is a horse named Classic Rick, who just gets shot out of a cannon. I think Classic Rick, by the way, these are colts and geldings. I think I called Secret Tavern a filly, but Classic Rick wins this thing like a good thing. I mean, he is one of the better 2-year-old winners we have had. All meet. He beat Secret Tavern there, who did all the work and set the pace and shrugged off the competition. Classic Rick had just 2 quarter-mile works. There was really no way to know he was going to be that good. Rick Lee picked him only because the owner names horses after himself when he thinks they're really good, and his name is Rick. But so I like Secret Tavern in here. I have a lot of respect for Coastal Brink and 3rd Street. The firsters are going to get a lot of attention. But I'm going with the 3. Oh, I see you are, too.
Yeah, I've got Secret Tavern as well. I had this horse picked in that last race, and, well, I'll tell you what, I was yelling hard when the horse was coming down the stretch at 13-1, you know.
Yeah.
Didn't get it done for me. The other horses did gain on this horse toward the end. But, I love horses that are making their second start, just how you pointed out, having that race under their belt,
Sure.
getting some experience. I think it's going to set up well for Secret Tavern. You never know what a lot of these first-timers are going to do. Some of them get out there, they're just super excited, get out there and run. But I'll go ahead and take the second start for Secret Tavern as my top choice. Second selection is going to be number 6, Play the Trumpet. I want to talk about this horse right here. Had a pretty good workout back on the 2nd of June. That was at 4 furlongs. I like to see these horses working 4 furlongs, these 2-year-olds. Lets me know that they can run a little bit. Trainer Miguel Silva, he's pretty good with 2-year-olds and first-time starters. So, once again, if you're looking for someone to beat the favorite, Play the Trumpet 10-1. This is the one that I would take to look for the upset. But I think Secret Tavern does get it done as starting number 2.
I think he's the one to beat. 3rd Street, a Louisiana bred. The Dam Abbey Street hasn't really produced anything necessarily of note and was not a great race mare. But, 3rd Street has really good drills coming into this for another trainer that likes to win first out. And then Coastal Brink for Steve Asmussen is a half to Bobby Brinkley. He's still around, but he's only 3 for 25, but he was precocious. He did win at a second start. And so, there's at least that. And this horse was sold for $70K at the 2-year-old sale here back in April. So obviously he must be a nice mover. So it's going to be interesting. I really hope that Secret Tavern, if he breaks, and another thing is he had the rail last time, it broke great. So hopefully that'll happen again. On to the 4th. I thought this was kind of a tough call in this spot. 5 Ace on the Turf, Texas bred entry-level allowance types.
Yeah, give me the horse on the inside rail, number 1, Village Way. So out of 4 races, I've picked that combination of Asmussen and Elliott 3 times so far. So I'm hoping they're going to have a good night. Village Way, has been running in some allowance races as of late. Last 2 came right here at Lone Star Park. The most recent one was on our turf course. Ran a solid second in that one. And if you look at how this horse has performed. Out of the 9 lifetime starts for this colt, has finished in the money in 8 of those 9. The only one that this horse didn't finish in the money was in the $100,000 Groovy Stakes down at Sam Houston. So a tough field there. That was a field of 12. Horse finished 9th. Was well beaten, but, still was in that race. And after that, came back to win after that stakes race. Won a sprint on the dirt there at Sam Houston and Allowance Company. Like I said, those 2 races here at Lone Star, both of them were fairly good. Lifetime, this horse has had 4 starts out here. Has finished in the exact in all 4 of those, including that one win. I think if the Village Way can have a good run tonight, I expect to see this horse in the winner's circle when it's all said and done.
By the way, he had a workout on June 5th that shows up on Equibase, doesn't show up in the program or my PPs for that matter, because it happened, I think, the day that I handicapped. 3 furlongs, 39.60 for Village Way, so just a little tune-up work. So he's actually worked twice since his last work. Village Way, by the way, is a full brother to Hewlin, who Steve Asmussen had for a while. I actually picked Hewlin over Superstock one time here. Boy, was that a bad pick. Hewlin has ultimately been a nice, useful horse, but I think it's come up a little short of what they thought. This guy's a full to him. Sure likes to pick up checks. He'd be a guy that'd be nice to own, but he just doesn't win a whole lot. So I went with My Little Prince, first on turf, by a stallion and Hightail that I don't know a lot about. It seems like he sires a lot of Arkansas breds, although this is a Texas bred. Hightail, reasonably fast, but doesn't absolutely need the lead. I'm going to take a shot on him with J.R. Caldwell and Rene Diaz. I think between those 2, and then Fort Hood has great speed, tries turf for the first time.
Yeah, but, it's won, I think 3 out of 4? Yeah, 3 out of the last 4.
So I think between those 3, you kind of have the race, although Rick Lee's long shot is wings for Eno, who I don't really care for in this spot, but Rick's long shot sometimes is dangerous. On to the 5th. 6.5 furlongs here. These are fillies and mares. You could be in for $50,000, or you could be in for non-winners of 2, and there's a couple in here for the $50,000 selling price.
Well, since you mentioned the conditions, I want to ask you a question. Let's take a look at the number 2 horse. This horse has only won 1 race in his lifetime, or 1 race in her lifetime, but is in for the tag today.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of strange for conflicting tales. It was.
I'm not really sure why you would put her in for the tag if she could get in the other way, but then again, I've never entered a horse.
Neither have I.
Yeah, and I don't know what the philosophy is. Maybe they think, if somebody will give us $50K, fine.
Yeah, right.
Maybe they're pretty confident no one's going to take her for 50, so why not put her in there? And if we make 50, then, we go buy somebody else. That's what I'm guessing it would be, but I'd have to ask a horse.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, I think I would have entered in on the non-winners of 2, but
Asmussen's done that a time or 2 since I joined us here in early May, where he's had a horse that was eligible for the condition, but was also in for the tag. So apparently they all do it.
With all that being said, I got Conflicting Tales picked as my second choice. So let's talk about Blame Day, my most likely winner here in this spot. Blame Day's had a good record. If you look at this year, 5 starts, has a win, a second, and a third. Last time out at Oaklawn Park, it was a big race. The horse beat half the field, had some trouble in that race, indicated by the little arrow here in my program. Before that, ran well in a stakes race at Evangeline, finishing 3rd in that race. This horse was knocking on the door quite a bit. First 3 races, we look at Churchill and a couple at the fairgrounds against maidens, 2nd in all 3 of those races. Finally broke that maiden back in February. And then, like I said, competed in a couple stakes races where had a solid 3rd finish. Brett Calhoun, he won a ton of stakes races last weekend for the Lone Star Showcase Day, I believe. I saw him in the winner's circle a couple times. I could be wrong about that, but
for one of he was here because
he was here Saturday. Then he came back Sunday and stuck around today. I saw him in the winner's circle, and I was like, all right.
Well, their barn's been very hot.
So having those nice runners as of late, I like it when barns heat up. It seems like they put together a string of wins. Blame Day, I think, is the one that gets the job done here in race number 5 tonight.
Yeah, I took her as well. Her lone win was going 2 turns, and she's going a 6.5 furlong 1-turn race today, but I'm not too concerned about that. This was a filly that they had some hopes for, and they probably still do. This is a nice race. right out of the chute, she ran second 3 times and broke her maiden, and then they rolled her right into a couple of stakes over in Louisiana. She fared okay in those 2 non-graded events, and then ran a really salty race in early May at Oaklawn with fillies like Unifying and Alva Star, and ran 5th in that one out of 10. That's really tough competition. There's others in here that are nice. Perilous Life had a nice second last time out for Asmussen, who also saddled the winner of that race in Bonneview. She earned a nice number in her maiden win 2 starts back in Houston. And then the Girl in Red, who's my 3rd pick, is actually Rick Lee's top pick in this race. Nice maiden win at Oaklawn against Arkansas breds. So there's some contention in here, and then conflicting tails as well. I didn't use in my picks, but comes off a nice win. Switches Barnes. So, I like Blame Day, but there's definitely, and she adds blinkers today, Blame Day does. And that should get her into the race a little better. So, good race. 6th, non-winners of 2. $5,000 claiming fillies and mares at 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, so I've got number 7, JJ's American Diva here in race number 6. This horse is in for $5,000 today. It's going to be the lowest claiming price of her career. Last one was in for $15,000. One before that at $25,000. Ran a solid 3rd in that one, 2 starts back. Was in some allowance races before that. This horse has 1 win in her lifetime. Picked that up at Remington Park. They got a great meet up there in the fall. Won that race up there at Remington Park by 6. Maybe coming down here to $5,000 is going to do this horse well. I mean, it's the lowest claiming price of her career. We'll see what happens tonight, but I think JJ's American Diva at some decent odds might be able to get the job done here in race number 6.
I'm glad to see you pick her because there's no reason that Midsummer Soiree, who's taking an absolutely epic drop for Diodoro, or Vegas Blue, who has just lit fire to money in her last 3 starts. There's no reason that one of them might not win. They could run 1, too. I mean, they're talented enough to win this race, but I just don't want to pick them. I mean, Vegas Blue has just been such a disappointment as a favorite lately. Midsummer Soiree is taking a gigantic drop. I mean, so I think this is a nice race to try and play a longer shot. I'm not on quite as long a shot as you. I'm with the 4, Poetic Union. Blinkers on. The form has been kind of fair to Midland, but she does drop down to this $5,000 non-2 level today. And she has run with blinkers before and did about the same as she did without them. But, I'm going to take her because I don't like the others in here necessarily, even though the others might very well win. But I'm taking a stand. We'll see how it works. So I'm glad to see you are, too, because we'll be in the same boat.
Vegas Blue, nothing really stood out to me. I mean, I like those horses that get claimed every so often.
Sure.
I figure those horsemen know a lot more about these horses than I do. But still, hasn't been too impressive. I mean, did win a race back in February at Oaklawn. And then Midsummer Soiree, this horse did great until 2 races ago. Beaten by 20, beaten by 28 after the claim.
The last 2 races are just...
if it wasn't for... maybe just one of those races would have been there, I would have given Midsummer Soiree a little bit tougher look, but having 2 races back-to-back that were clunkers, I don't know. I just got to go a different way in this one.
And, she's dropping, but even in better competition, she was right up in both races and just stopped. At least don't get beaten by 20-plus lengths. But we'll see. She's taken a much easier level of competition today. All right, back to the movies here for the 7th. 7.5 on turf. $25,000 maiden claimer for fillies. Number 1, Jazzy Lassie, is a heavy favorite in here. We're both picking her, but she's the 2. So she's laying in about 5th position here as they come around the turn. The reason I want to show this is look how blocked she is. She's the 2 horse here as they come for home. Leandro Goncalves just sitting on her, just waiting for racing room to open. Can't go inside because that filly in the light blue is there. Can't really go outside. There's 2 fillies outside of her. Now she gets racing room, and this leader is out there, basket case, just leading all by herself. And now this 2, Jazzy Lassie, starts to close in. But just had to wait way too long. She winds up losing about 2.5 lengths officially. Basket Case might have gone on and won the race anyway, but I'm quite sure that Jazzy Lassie was going to be closer. She's run second 3 times in a row. She's only been to the post 4 times. Now, there's no reason she might not get the same exact trip today because she is kind of a chaser type who's going to have to probably negotiate around horses. But I thought that trip she was blocked enough, long enough that it was worth looking at. But I see you have her as well in here. So she'll be a solid favorite. She does really stand out in this.
Yeah, I picked her last time as the favorite. And I mean, we saw the video. She had some spunk once she finally got some room, was able to get out there and move.
Too much work to do at that point.
But here in the nightcap, I thought Jazzy Lassie was, a standout in this one. I don't really see anyone else that's going to hang with Jazzy Lassie. But being that this is a maiden race, you never know.
Yeah,
anything can happen.
Lately. We've had, especially early in the card, some long shots come in where we're like, it would be a shock if someone beats this horse and then they go right out there and do it. But it's still impossible, not impossible, but it's still hard to envision when all you have in front of you are the PPs.
Yeah, and Jazzy Lassie, second. This horse rocks to run second, it seems like.
Exactly.
Like that last one got kind of shuffled in the pack. I'm taking I think that this horse has a good shot here. My second choice is going to be Gold Making Girl. This horse didn't really show much until getting on the turf last time out.
Yep.
Finished third in that race. Was still beaten by almost 4 lengths. Ran behind Jazzy Lassie, has run against Jazzy Lassie in the last 2 races for Gold Making Girl. The one 2 starts back was beaten by 35 lengths. Has some trouble in a couple races. But does the horse like the turf, or did the horse just pop last time? You never know.
It's hard to tell. She was 32 to 1, but certainly woke up on the turf. So I'm gonna lean towards she just
might like it.
Yeah, and can't stand the dirt.
But I'm going to say that Jazzy Lassie still gets the best out of Gold Making Girl here, so I've got it 1-8 here in the nightcap. But anything can happen. That's why we run these races, right?
True. Yeah, we're both 1-8-5. One thing I'll point out is we're going to be announcing a late work on the 10 Accelerating Babe for Danny Pish, and it's a really good work. A best of the morning, 48.20 half mile on June 3rd. It might be in your daily racing form PPs. It's not in the program. June 3rd, half mile, fast track, 48.20 breezing, and it was out of the gate. But the thing about this filly, and she puts blinkers on, the thing about Accelerating Babe, though, she always works well. She has a string of really nice works. But when it comes to the afternoons or the evenings, she hasn't really been there, but she's dropping. So I probably should have included her in the pick somewhere. Is kind of the moral of that story.
Well, that's why they put the all button on the machine, right? We can include them all if we really want to.
I don't know if you need to go quite all in.
In this race, I'm not going that deep.
You're right. But, she might be one to look at because, she could get up there and she hasn't been on turf. She has a bad post for, 7.5 on turf. But, she drops and is a good worker. First on turf. So we'll see. I figured I'd mention it since we had the time. Okay. Well, at least we're getting a little break from the sun. That's helpful. Hopefully it'll stay dry. We're fast and firm. First post coming up at 6:35 Central. I take it you'll be back tomorrow?
I'll be here tomorrow night. Yes, sir.
We've got 8 coming up tomorrow on this 4-day week. But meanwhile, enjoy your Thursday. Hope our selections point out some horses that you can use to make some money, and good luck tonight.